Not me.
You're listening to the PT Pintcast, where smart people in healthcare come to make noise. Here's your host, Jimmy McKay.
I still stand behind the new name of the show, which is Welcome to Marketing Doesn't Work, the show where two healthcare marketing nerds get honest about what actually works, what's BS, and how to keep your sanity while promoting PT, healthcare, whatever, wherever you are. Like, a lot of this is applicable not just within physical therapy, but I'm a physical therapist, so I like to keep like one foot on the base so I don't get picked off. If you've ever said we post all the time but nothing happens or marketing doesn't work in my town, this show's for you. I've had people say that, but marketing doesn't work here. Like, I get it, Jimmy, like where you live, it works, but not here. And I've seen those people in the last 2 to 3 years. Now they've got like regular content going out on what looks like a schedule. And I'm like, man, the world must have changed. It's very, very interesting. All of a sudden it started working, or you started doing it regularly. And I love using, because this is where I get to play I have a PT degree just like you card, and I use parallels. So let me do a sponsor thing before I forget, because then I'll be 20 minutes in and I'll be like, I got to redo that. I do want to thank longtime sponsor Brooks IHL. They do residencies and fellowships down in Florida, which if you're going to do a residency or a fellowship, I got to be honest, we're both in the Northeast. Be smart and go somewhere warm to do it. It is live, Tony. Oh, Tony liked the last one, so he's watching again. Tony's a big live guy. Brooks IHL, world-class residencies, fellowships, and continuing education designed to turn good clinicians into great ones. Their mentors walk the walk, talk the talk, the whole thing. Check out Brooks IHL, see how far your career is going to go. BrooksIHL.org, pediatrics, neuro, geriatrics, all the things. Where was I? This is why Andrea's here. What was I asking before I stopped?
Marketing doesn't work where I live, and then it starts to work. So things must have changed. Yeah,
but of course that's not the case. So I love doing the parallel of there's a principle in healthcare, right, really like in PT, but in healthcare, it's called the FIT VP principle, FITT-VP, which is frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, and progression. And this is meant to be like, hey, you want bigger beach muscles? Frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, and progression. And PTs understand this innately. And then I go, they're marketing principles too. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, progression. What are you doing? So what I wanted to do was sort of I wanted to play a game called Stop, Start, Continue. Have you ever done one of these before? It's like a big like consulting thing or like a one-on-one thing, right? So what are some things you think people should stop doing? You don't have to do it in this order either. You just throw it out. Stop doing in 2026 marketing-wise. Start doing in 2026 marketing-wise. Or continue. Sometimes it's good to bring things from 2025 into the fray. So what's something every healthcare organization we'll go with start. Where do you want to start? You tell me. Stop, start, or continue.
We can start with stop. And maybe you saw my post from 2 hours ago on LinkedIn.
Oh,
and that post is, here's what I'm telling clients to stop doing in 2026.
I didn't. Look, I love when things line up. That wasn't on purpose.
So a few things in no particular order. And it's a lot, like we've talked about this in the past. Stop spraying and praying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the patchwork stuff. It's like stop doing stuff and hoping it works. Like do stuff for a reason or don't do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big one.
I love to say it like when healthcare providers would be like, well, my patient came in. They always love his fake voice too. Well, my patient came in and they just like, did you do the exercises I gave you? And they're like, not really. And then nothing happened. I want to be like, well, did you spray and pray? Did you just randomly do some stuff and then it didn't work? And then you said, oh, I don't know that
right.
This whole thing doesn't work. And that happens all the time. When you put it in perspective that way, it's very obvious.
It is.
So spraying and praying. What do you see people doing? What does spraying and praying look like with organizations you've worked for?
I mean, it could be anything. So it's really anything you're doing that you don't have like a strategy behind why you're doing it. So spraying and pray, or you're not measuring it. So it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So you're like, oh, let's post on social.
Okay. And then you do it for 2 weeks and then nothing happens.
2 weeks, nothing happens, but you don't have a strategy behind it. You don't really have good content. You don't know like what you're posting, who you're posting to, that sort of thing. And you're like, well, why didn't it work? I mean, and you could say this across the board for any type of campaign. If you know, whatever you're doing, like it could be paid ads, it could be anything across the gamut of marketing. But if you don't know why you're doing it, you're not measuring it, you're really just spraying and praying.
We do that all the time. Like when, especially that phrase comes up when PTs will take students and they'll just be like, well, I'll just ask that student, why are you doing that exercise? And they won't have a good reason. I'll be like, great. Why are you doing that strategy? Well, because I saw someone else doing it. Awesome. Why were they doing it?
Right.
I don't know. So why are you doing it? I don't know. Do you know who the smartest person in marketing, in my experience, has been? Usually the CEO's niece. So my niece looked at our Instagram and said it sucked. So could we make it better? And I love, because I'm sort of a jerk, and I'll just be like, hey, is your niece anywhere near who we're trying to talk to? Well, no, we're trying to talk to older adults. And she's 19. So, that's weird. That's weird that she would have deeper insight than the people who get paid to do this. And not saying that you get paid to do it means that you're good at it, but maybe we thought about it deeper than, because a 19-year-old could be very good at it.
Right.
But that's typically who I love being introduced to, CEOs' nieces.
Yes, or nephews. And I have a few. If I had a nickel for every nephew who said we should be on TikTok. And maybe we should be on TikTok.
Maybe.
But let's figure it out.
I'm going to start with a stop. You did a start. No, you said stop. Stop staying and praying. I'm going to do a stop as well, which is, it's going to sound like I'm biting off of yours, but this was my lead, which is doing it because the other clinic, either in my town or in my vertical, is doing it. That feels weak. I would say all the time. There was a great phrase that says you don't go to war with what you need, you go to war with what you have.
Right.
And I remember like in radio, when I was back in radio, it would be like, well, we should start doing this. And I'm like, number one, do we need to do that? Like, well, our competition is doing it. And like, hang on, before we react, knee-jerk reaction, worst kind of reaction, right? The other thing was, let's say we do need to do it. I would go, okay, we've decided, we moved on from that decision stage. Now we decided we do. This is a thing that we need to start doing. Do we have the people and the process on hand to do that well? Because in 6 weeks, if you come to me and you're like, I saw you doing that thing again. Of course, I'm always talking to my boss. I saw you started doing that thing. It sucks. I'm like, right. You didn't give me the tools, the training, or the time to empower my people to develop a process to do that well. So when I start talking like that, I sound like a jerk.
No, well, I mean, marketers always sound like jerks, right? When they push back, we always do. But there's so much to unpack there. I mean, I've worked with so many clients and in-house with so many CEOs, founders, executives across the board, because everyone has an opinion on marketing. We should be doing this because our competition's doing it. I've seen it in direct to consumer. I've seen it in B2B. And this is why, like, let's just go to B2B for a minute. When you look at a B2B, like health tech or any tech website, you see the same words. And it's like, well, this
crap
is what they're saying. And it's like, well, great.
People, hold on. People have admitted to me. I'm like, hey, saw you updated the website. What? Walk me through the above the fold design, meaning what I see this first 2 seconds. And I've literally had people say, we just copied so-and-so's. And I'm like, what?
Why? What? Why? I had a client not that long ago say, like, here are 3 competitors. I want you to like pull their websites together. And that's what ours is. And I'm like, well, there's so many things wrong with that. And let's
Steve, by the way, is going to forever be this not any real person. This is going to be our person. Hey, Steve, would it be okay if I took the crappiest parts of each of their website and slammed them together? No,
exactly.
Not a good idea. Huh? Just the best parts though, right? Yeah. Let's do that.
This is like filed under the marketing. Marketers always need to be educating. And they end up being like the bad guy, like you said, because we're sort of always pushing back because it's like, here's why we're not doing that. Let's think through what makes sense, right? Like, do they have the same? And maybe all of the things are the same. We really shouldn't be copying someone else, right? Like, I'm always like, we should know what competitors are doing. But that's not our top priority.
I would push back and say, even if you're selling the exact same type of widget, that is a reason to not look like them at all.
Exactly.
Because if they're looking at you, they're probably looking at your competition also. And if they've bounced from one to the other, they are looking for something different.
That's exactly it. And I think this goes to one of my stop doings in 2026, ties in is like stop doing generic AI content at scale. Like there is a time and place, and I'm a fan of AI, and I think it's sort of helped us become more efficient in so many areas. I think if everyone's using the same language and saying the same thing and spitting out this generic stuff, I mean, one of the things that's like big for 2026 is authenticity. And we've been saying it for years, but I think in this age of AI, like brands need to have their own voice and they do need to be authentic.
I feel like we should do an entire episode on what that could look like.
That would be great. That'd be fun.
Because I think I forget the name of there's some coffee shop that started essentially posting like a reel every day, but they turned the people in the coffee shop into essentially characters. And it was above average production value, but they've said it takes us an hour to shoot this, and we're talking about 6 or 7 figure views. And if you're a coffee shop, you're like, well, that's a lot of effort for views. Does that turn into coffee? It has turned into merch. It has turned into now you're the spot to go to when you're on vacation in that city. I'll find it. So it was like, it's what I go back to all the time. I've said this to people. I've said this to people that we've worked together with. If I'm ever using terms that you don't understand, please call me on it. Like I'll say like, is the juice worth a squeeze on this? Like, what does that mean? I'm like, if you don't know what that means, we can't work. Like that is the effort and the cost worth the outcome. If it's not, why are we entertaining this?
Right.
So like, so I feel like we could do an entire episode on especially healthcare brands, man. How do you take I've worked for organizations that had clinicians in them on their own time, had successful Instagram accounts, and the organization was like, how do we shut this down? How do we reel this in? I'm in the room because I'm like a junior member of I'm like a director. I don't even know why I'm in the C-suite meeting, and people are looking around and they're looking at me to start nodding with them. Like, yeah, let's reel it in. And I literally was like, hey, Jimmy here. I don't know if you guys remember me. What if, work with me here. What if we actually helped them and our success and their success were tied? And they were like, absolutely not. And do you want to know what happened? Those 2 clinicians who worked together, who had a wildly successful Instagram account, left this massive healthcare organization and now are wildly successful by themselves. And
how did that happen?
And the healthcare brand is now like, you know what we should do? We should turn our clinicians into influencers. And I'm like, that's so funny. That's so weird that you would come up with that idea on your own that we had 7 years ago. That's so crazy.
And this is like in its own episode, like this, like the influencer in healthcare. I mean, this is
boom.
Like this is talk about authenticity. And, when you're thinking about like, how do we get out there, differentiate ourselves, and also show that we are the clinical experts, having your clinicians be front and center, but making sure they're supported, right? So we're not just like putting them out there to like do boring things on video or low quality or whatever it may be. Like the strategy behind internal influencer marketing is very
now
important.
It is, but 7 years ago it was Jimmy being, well, we're giving away the secret sauce here. I'm like, I gotta be honest, I can buy that sauce in the corner for $1 a gallon. It ain't a secret, guys. Like what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about? I think it has a lot to do with no one else is doing it. So if it were a good idea, someone else would be doing it.
Well, that's it. Right. And it's like, that's in healthcare, that's in financial services, and it's probably across the board, depending on the founder's comfort level. What I found, you're exactly right. Like no one else is doing this. And so we're like, well, this is a great reason to try it. If we've thought about it and it makes sense to do. And I think that's like, there's in healthcare, there's like compliance and there's like all these things. But if you have clinicians doing this, they know better, right? And I think brands are like established healthcare brands, especially, or brands that look to establish healthcare brands are like, we've always done it this way and we're very careful. And, in one of my recent posts, I said something about not like moving quickly and breaking things in healthcare. That works in some, but it doesn't work in healthcare. But I think there's two sides of it. Like, you need to be nimble and try things, but you don't want to work so quickly that you're reckless in breaking things, because healthcare is different. And I think that's maybe like executives in healthcare are sort of feeling like, oh, whoa, we don't do influencer stuff. Like, we have branded images and we do like a corporate video and this is what we do.
Do you know how long, like, I worked for organizations that had full-time graphic designers and they did immaculate work. But once you hire a graphic designer and then your second one and then your third one, you then fill their schedule.
Exactly.
To justify their existence. And now when something happens that we need to turn around today, I need to fill out a ticket.
You're a ticket in a queue. Exactly.
And those graphic designers want to do the thing to turn it around quickly, because they understand what hitting the pulse and reacting in a good way is. And the funny part is, I heard someone say that, like, essentially wow people should be running the organization and the how people should be running behind them, trying to figure out how to make it happen. This is like Richard Branson. It's like, could you imagine if Richard Branson was like fourth in charge at Virgin? You wouldn't know who the fuck Virgin was.
Exactly.
If Richard was just like sitting there, like, you know what we should do? We should buy an airline. They'd be like, all right, sit down, Richard. We're going to run the numbers. And he was like, no, we're going to go buy an airline. And we're going to call it Virgin Atlantic. And we're going to run a record company. We'll call it Virgin Records. But the funny part is, like, we let how people run around and then are confused why we aren't wowing anybody. When I break it down like that, it becomes real obvious, isn't it?
It does. And I think because how people feel safe because they are like working within these guardrails. And I think you need to have the balance. I think it's like the yin and the yang. But I think how people get in their own way. And so, I mean, I'm like a how person also, but I feel like I'm a different how person. Yeah, I'm not like the
even where you are in the how wow spectrum, like you're still on the wow end. You're the how end of the wow spectrum.
Right.
Right. And even I know how to make things happen, but I'm like, let me give you an example. That party that I threw a charity party a couple of years ago at APTA's big conference. And I sat with a bunch of how people who were like, we need to make tickets $50. And I'm like, tickets are $250. And they're like, that's insane. No one's going to buy them. And I'm like, wait for it. And then I like took out a dry erase board. I'm like, we're going to make companies pay for it. Because here's the thing. If we throw a party where tickets are worth $50, I don't want to be at that party. That's a trash party. That's like, how many, should we get paper cups or plastic cups? And I want to be like, cups should be made of ice. You know what I mean? And they should melt. Like we need to think outside the box. People are like, do we like when you think outside the box, Jimmy? I go, no, you don't. You like when I paint the box blue. And you're like, look at that. It was never blue. And now it is. That's so crazy. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're being boring. So here's my start. Yours was stop spraying and praying.
Yes.
I'm going to twist it a little bit to sound contrarian, but I'm not. Which is, I do want you to start testing things aggressively. I heard someone, their math was, you should be testing out, this is for organic content. And here's how I look at organic and paid. Organic is your proving ground. Costs you effort, right? I like flinging things. I like, we're going to do 10 types of content. We're going to do face into the camera. We're going to do day in the life. Whatever you see in the world, good. We're going to do our version on it. Test it. But then if it doesn't work, in how long? I don't know. We'll figure that out. We dump it. But if one of the 10 things pings, we're going to triple down on it. And now that's over here. That's okay. That's a project that's now on the regular roster. It now gets replaced with a new thing. You have to have a little R&D. And if something pings and blows up, now that's moved onto the paid roster. Good. Because want to know what? The world is going to change in 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 weeks, and we better have some new stuff backing it up. So I agree with don't spray and pray. I also agree with having a lab and R&D and testing what is working for you specifically.
1,000%. And but you're talking about it in a smart way. That's not spraying and praying.
Correct.
I think because
I think emotionally people are like, testing things, that sounds scary. Or let's just fling some stuff. And I'm like, no, one is bad, one is good. They sound similar, they're not.
Right. No, I think so. If you're testing, you are being strategic. And maybe you're just going like, I have this wild idea, whatever. But like then when you're testing it, it's controlled. And one of my stop doing is like focusing only on vanity metrics, but I'm just going to like scrap it and go like, pay attention to metrics. And the hard thing as a marketer, like I'm constantly preaching like metrics, metrics, metrics. We need to be tying things to outcomes. But like from here to outcome, there's a lot of gray area.
Wow.
And I think marketers need to understand that and know what that is. That doesn't need to get to the CEO, the CFO, the private equity company, the board, whoever it may be. But you need to understand it. So if you're testing something, you need to know like it worked or it didn't, why. Maybe why not? Maybe you'll never understand why not. But like if you can sort of figure out why it's working, what success looks like in advance, then you're in a good place, because you do need to be able to measure things. And we're not going to be able to measure like every single thing every single time. And I say this about direct to consumer healthcare all the time, is it goes back to the journey. People are doing a lot of things. They're like seeing an ad, they're Googling, their friend told them, they're in this Facebook group, you know, they saw a Google review, whatever it may be. We don't know which one of those things was more powerful than the other. But I think when we're talking about like content, organic content, we can say like, yes, it was a success, or no, it flopped.
Talk about what the difference for you, and it can be different for each type of content, project, any of these things. Like, what are vanity metrics to you? I was taught they were a different term to me in radio, but they're the same thing.
We talked about it a lot. What did you, beauty pageant metrics?
Metrics, yeah.
Same thing. So it's hard, right? Like as a marketer, we want to know how things are performing. So we track views and likes and shares and, you know, all that engagement stuff. And then on the website, we're looking at traffic and page views and time spent on site and all that jazz. Those are vanity metrics. So as a marketer, you need to know what they are. And I think, you know, there's like lead metrics, there's lag metrics. You need to know what those are, but those aren't the things you're reporting to your CEO or your CFO or private equity or within a board meeting, because they're like, whatever, what does that translate to revenue?
Wait, there it is. But what does that do? What is that doing?
What is that doing? And so I think they're important, but you also have to layer on. We did these things. We got this much attention. Oh, by the way, in that time frame, this is what leads, or depending on the kind of company you're working with, like this is what it translated to, like patients or revenue, or, you know, when I look at like micro conversions or macro conversions, like if someone's on
micro conversions or macro conversions.
So if I, you know, if we're testing content and someone goes to the website and say they're like watching a video, I'll call that a micro conversion. Like we have their attention for 30 seconds. One step, they did like a micro thing. But if they are scheduling
a survey, filled out a thing, got a PDF. Got
it. But if they schedule an appointment, that's a macro conversion.
And they buy.
If they buy, that's the conversion. So like all these things are important along the way, but you don't necessarily just want to be reporting on these. You want to go like, this drove this much business, in, you know, whatever the time frame is.
For healthcare providers who are maybe a little bit earlier in their journey, if your goal is to run an Ironman triathlon, I think you should lift weights. But if you're just measuring, well, how much you deadlifting? I'm like, I don't know if that's the smartest thing to be measuring. Maybe run it, maybe over my last month, what's my mile time look like? See what I mean? We can measure both of those things, but how much I'm deadlifting is cute. That's a beauty pageant metric.
Exactly.
Now, deadlifting is probably playing into my mile time, maybe, right? We have to tease that out. But if I'm just like, well, then deadlift more, the endurance triathlon PT is like, whoa, there's a point when you're deadlifting too much. And I'm like, right. So it's like, how come everything you do, Jimmy, doesn't go viral? I'm like, well, first of all, because humans are humany, but also like, because I don't want eyeballs. I'm teaching Instagram or YouTube, and I've just gotten, quote, good at this, or at least started looking at it differently in the last year and a half. Thanks a lot to Tony and people I talk to, which is like, what are you teaching? What you're teaching the algorithm? Like everybody loves to bitch about the algorithm. Like, dude, the algorithm is math, man. That's physics. What are you teaching it? I don't want my grandma like watching my Instagram, because that would teach Instagram, oh, like old ladies from Oklahoma who like cats. Grandma doesn't like cats, but I was just throwing it out there. No, I don't want that. I want this. This is who I want. So a lot of the words I'm using and a lot of the, you know, the file names, like I'm even looking into, like when I'm done with this episode and I download the MP3 to share it to the podcast, people are now in the background going, what you name the file name is actually telling the internet what this is. So instead of like, you know, January 5, 9:32 .mp3, not a good file name. And I'm like, are they measuring that? They go, if they're not, they might be soon.
Interesting.
So I'm like, oh, we got to do that. It's
so
like,
where are they going to, I mean, every marketer's files are like final V5, final.
Correct. Correct. All right. Let's do a listener email. Did you know we have listener emails on my website? On my website, in the bottom right-hand corner, you can either send, we haven't anybody do this yet. You can send a voice memo, because I would love to just push play and have the person say it in their own voice, or you can send an email. Let's hit the mailbag.
It's mailbag time. Real questions, real people. No bots allowed.
All right, mailbag brought to you by Empower EMR. If your clinic is stuck in an EMR that slows you down, Empower gives you speed, clean workflows, and features PTs actually ask for. Better notes, faster documentation, smoother operations, all wrapped up in customer support that doesn't ghost you. See what I did there? Upgrade your clinic's brain with empoweremr.com. That is empoweremr.com. This is from Katie. Katie, I'm going to leave where she works out. Jimmy and Andrea, I watched your last episode. We've been posting 3 times a week for a year, but engagement is low and no new evals, in parentheses, that I can measure. How do I know if I'm doing, and then this is quote, how do I know if I'm doing good marketing that just needs more time, or if it's time to change everything? So what would you ask her? I mean, like there's not enough information to give a great answer. But what are the questions?
So she said she's posting, right?
Posting. What does that mean?
Where are you posting? What are you posting? What else are you doing? And this goes back to sort of the like journey within, like, what are we seeing? So we're not seeing new evals or enough new evals. Like, what are people doing? Are they engaging somehow? But we would need to know. We have a lot of questions for that one. Yeah. So this, I always tell people this is where I get to act like a petulant 6-year-old. Like, who, where, what, why, why, what are you doing? What? Just act dumb, act complete. This is actually hard. Like you have to play completely dumb, but you have to erase everything, no assumptions. And you can't jump right solutioning, which is where I'm like, all right, how do we fix? And I'm like, wait, no, we can't figure out how to fix this. I flip this back to healthcare providers, specifically PTs. I'm like, so far you've told me you have a knee. That's not doing knee things. Like what? Like this person might have a 4 million follower Instagram account. They might have 4 people. Like, I don't know. Like, act completely dumb. This is where I get to act like my high school English teacher, Mr. Mooney. And you ever take technical writing? No, but I've done technical writing exercises. That's an exam. Like, explain how to write, explain in text only how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then he would do exactly what you wrote, which of course is not what you wanted him to do. Right. But the exercise was to prove words matter. So all right. So let's see if we can be helpful here. You're posting 3 times a week for a year. I got to be honest. If you were doing an exercise or a series of exercises for a year and you were seeing no change, I would say you probably should have asked sooner. 9 months ago. Right. 9 months. Right. Or 11 months ago. I'm going to make this up. There's no right period, but a quarter feels like no change, and a quarter, go back, refer back. Right. Yep. Engagement is low. I would say how low over time. So like no general change. That's cool. And no new evals. Hard red flag. It has no macro conversions is what you're telling me in a year. That's not good. How do I know if I'm doing good marketing that needs more time? It would lead to, because you started with a goal. The goal apparently was, without you telling me, was new evals, and you haven't done it. So that's not good marketing. Why? I don't know, because I can't see it yet. So if you want to share some links, that would be fun to do. That would be, yes. Like if someone sent us stuff. Yep. I would definitely like, oh, let's bring this up. No judgment. Like those are the people who typically would get the most out of something like that. How do I know I'm doing new marketing needs more time, or if it's time to change everything? I don't know if it's time to change everything, but I don't know what it is. So I would need them to be more specific. But like that's even just saying that to a person like Katie. This is where the brain power goes and the mindset goes. Okay, let's shift a little bit. We did a little bit of stop, start, continue. Maybe we can come back to that. I fell for some marketing, but I'm happy about it. And that's the best, right? I knew I was being marketed to. And did I talk about this guy with you before? Do you know Jeffrey
Sorry, Jesse Itzler.
I don't know. No.
You might know his wife. Do you know Sarah Blakely?
Yes.
Spanx. She married this man named Jesse. He's nuts. He's weird.
Isn't he like a runner? They do merit like something. I remember looking into him. I saw him in an LinkedIn post or something and looked into
He's got a wild background. He is very much like I am. He got paid like $5,000 in 1989 to write a rap for the New York Knicks, and famously like spent $7,000 producing it because he's like, this is my opportunity. This is my thing. Yep. But anyway, he is now like one of these mindset guys. I'm okay with it. I like his vibe. So he sells this thing called the Big Ass Calendar. And it's off camera right now. It's on the wall. But it is a large dry erase calendar. But it's every month. And I am very visual. So now it's 365 squares. Jesse did not invent necessarily anything new. Jesse spoke to my pain, which is I use Google Calendar all the time. But I'm looking at 1 day or 1 week or not really at 1 month because you really can't see that.
Yep.
And he was just like, don't you feel better when you see it and you write it down? And he said that for a year, because I've been looking at these ads for a year. Like, I don't know, is $40 for a calendar a lot? And then 400 times over the last 365 days, it's like people are 43% more likely to complete a goal if they write it down. Did you know that? And I'm like, I didn't know that. It might not even be true.
But I've heard it. Like, I don't know if it's true, but I have heard it.
Made me feel like, that is interesting. So I wound up buying the Big Ass Calendar 2026. It's just a piece of dry erase.
How many times did you see the ad or content related?
More than a year.
More than a year.
In 100 different formats, ways. 80% of them had Jesse. 20% had other people, people like users or people on his team or testimonials. I saw 1 billion of them. Here's the best part. Jesse didn't just say, hey, I got a calendar. You should buy it. Because that's how I think a lot of people would have stopped. Look, it's dry erase. It comes with a marker. It comes with stickers.
Features. Here's what size it is.
Jesse sold Jimmy an outcome. The outcome was this. He's like, wouldn't it be great if you walked away with 2026 with a year-defining event? And I was like, hang on a second. What's a year-defining event? And he's like, well, this is a Japanese theory called misogi. He's like, it could be like climbing a mountain, opening a business, running a marathon. Like, what is the thing? Everybody's got one or two. Here's the thing. Let's be honest. This is how he said it. Let's be honest. Look deep into my eyes. You know you're not going to get to the starting line of the Ironman triathlon waking up one day in June and being like, you know what I'll do tomorrow? I'm going to do the Ironman. You understand that you got to backfill. So that's really what a misogi is. So here, Jesse didn't just sell me the calendar. Jesse sold me a different version of Jimmy, which comes with one misogi. One, Andrea. You got to pick one big BHAG. Not lots of BHAGs. One.
Right.
Okay. And then he goes, you're going to get one misogi. You're going to get 6 mini adventures. What's a mini adventure? He's like, not as big as a misogi, but like, I've always wanted to rock climb in the Shawangunk Mountains near me. I drive past them all the time. People hang glide around where I live, a lot of skydiving, a lot of hang gliding, and rock like mountain climbing, like not in a gym, like a legit like mountain climbing. Yeah, I'm like, that looks cool, but like I could never do that. And people are like, no, there's like classes. Like you just go pay some guy and they make it real safe and you can just do that. And I'm like, I could just do that. Like, so what he's saying is you have one misogi, you plan for all year, 6 mini adventures, one every other month. Not crazy. And they don't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be like fly to South America, but it could be.
It could be whatever you want it to be. Because
the thing is, you have to plan for it. Because if you don't plan for it, it's probably mathematically not going to happen. And then the third thing in my 3 steps to a big ass year is 3 winning habits. 4 winning habits. 1 new habit every 3 months. Not 4 habits on January freaking 1st. That's not going to happen. He's like, pick 1 winning habit. So I'm not going to bite my fingernails in the first quarter of 2026. For a guy who's I'm a fingernail biter. Why? Because my dad was. I don't know. But he's saying add one new habit every 3 months, being realistic. So at the end of the year, you would have had 1 year-defining event, 6 cool mini adventures that maybe one of those mini adventures turns into a Misogi next year. Like, yeah, I would like to climb freaking Everest. And you've stacked 4 habits. And even if 25% of those habits stick, still a pretty good year.
Yep.
He sold me a calendar, Andrea, but he told me a story.
Yes.
And I got to be honest, none of this involved $1 million ad spend, right? It just didn't. But we don't do that with healthcare, with the thing that apparently is like at the core of everything. We just go, we're open from 7 to 3, and we bought a new MRI machine.
We're evidence-based.
Literally, someone was like, I want to go to this place to get an MRI. And I go, why? And they go, because you can watch Netflix while you're in there. And I was like, holy shit, that we have reached bottom of barrel. That's the differentiating factor. But that place was like, we got Netflix. Holy. So anyway, I've already started. It's on my table now. And I am picking out my Misogi carefully because I'm going to stick to it. I think I'm going to do another Ironman. I'm going to do an Ironman 70. And I've got 6 or 7 months to prepare for it, which is more than enough time. But like, what are your thoughts? Have you seen?
By the way, well, he also this is free marketing, right? So you are so excited, you were delighted, you've now become this evangelist, maybe, and you're telling people about it word of mouth.
Correct.
Because it's so cool.
Yes. This is the thing. I didn't have a calendar problem.
Right.
I had a becoming a different version of myself problem. He never said that, but he did. Like he had my thoughts coming out of his mouth or his ads. I want to have a big ass year. Like even the words, like Danny Mattei is a PT who wrote a book a number of years ago called Fuck Insurance. And people were like, you can't title that. And he was like, why? And he's like, because you're going to turn a lot of people off. And he goes, good. They were never, once they signed up for whatever it is that I'm teaching, they were going to freaking hate me because I drop F-bombs left and right. That was one of his qualifying questions without having to ask. This guy, same thing. It's called the big ass calendar. Jesse's like, I don't want prudes. They're not going to like me anyway. Good. Get rid of them on step 1. I don't want you to see my ad.
Right. Not
the brand. Jesse knows his brand. Jesse knew his audience. Jesse read me like a book, even though he's never met me.
Yep.
It's a masterclass.
It is that's very cool. And I mean, pretty similar. So the few times that I've fallen for advertising on Instagram, it's been like similar. And it's like, I've seen it a bunch of times. They're speaking to me. It doesn't matter what the product is. I'm like, yes, I have that. Oh yeah, I have that problem. Yep. I want to feel that way.
Yeah. Yes. I want to feel that way. Do you know how many times in your lifetime that you've ever seen someone drink a beer in a commercial in the United States? Ballpark, how many times you ever ballpark it? Like, try to be within 10,000.
Like, this is a trick question. I don't know.
0.
I was thinking it had to be 0.
Can't show someone as far as I'm going to say in my lifetime, but I'm definitely going to say since I've been 8 years old. You can't show it. It's a rule. It's a law. That's what those things are. They're like rules, but like they get enforced.
Exactly.
Think about like the last
holding it, and it's like kind of like, you know, it looks good and appetite. It's cool.
They talk about cold. Like think about that. Like Coors, like all their ads are like someone's like, even in the summer, they're like skiing or they're in the snow and they're like, our beer is brewed cold. Yep. Cold. Like it's cold. And I'm like, yeah, but like as soon as it left your brewery, somebody else's, like your truck had to keep it cold. Then it went to my supermarket. They kept it cold. Now I'm keeping it cold. They're literally selling you cold, but they're not. They're selling you the feeling of what it's like when it hits your lips.
Right. Because you know what it feels like for to drink a cold drink.
Right. But they're like, how do we get that? It's similar to why, cologne and perfume ads are so freaking insane. They're like a fever dream. Like they don't make any sense. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, like standing there with like a shirt unbuttoned and like a fan
like coming out of the water, and then there's like a weird unicorn. And
yes, it gets weird. It's like why? It's like they're trying to different. Like I don't understand that, but like this is what I've been told. It's like they're trying to sell image and like sort of weird. Like how do you market a smell until the TV starts spraying stuff out in our living rooms. It's not going to happen.
Yep. Very cool about the calendar.
So I got the calendar. I'll let you know if it works. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter if it works. You bought in, but maybe it'll work and you'll do it again next year.
Well, that was also one of the ads that I saw after I purchased the calendar. The woman was like going through all her. She's like, I've done doing this for 7 years. So she goes, think about that. In 7 years, I've had 7 year defining events. You could say what happened in 2020. I'd be like, oh, I did this. Right.
And that's smart marketing, right? Because your thought might be like, yeah, this sounds cool, but I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to continue. Like, that's really smart to have to show someone who's used it year after year.
Correct. Show me the future state of me. And that's where it's like, that makes sense. All right, we're going to do keep it or dump it. You ready to do keep it or dump it?
Let's do it.
Hold on, I'm going to do the quick button. Keep it or dump it. This is just personal, and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to ask you to do like macro because like it could be for different segments or different businesses. I'm going to throw a tactic at you. So very specific. You say whether we keep it in 2026, dump it forever, and then justify it or just fire off a hot take. Patient testimonial videos on social. Keep it or dump it.
Keep it.
Yeah, it's just too authentic.
It's super authentic. You don't get much better and real than that.
But please make them real.
Real. Yes, real patients.
Like I love the ones that look like proof of life hostage videos where you're clearly putting words in their mouth. I'm like, that does the opposite. That does this.
They're just saying your brand messaging.
Correct. Or, can we stop this one? Which is patient testimonial texts on Instagram where they literally screenshot it or they take the 93 words and put it in a Canva template. I'm like, no one's reading that. You look, take 5 words out of that. Felt my best ever, Steve, whatever. But just do ... felt my best ever ... Like as long as it's real. But please don't give me 68 words on Instagram in an image. Not reading it. 7. That's the rule. 7 words or less. Keep it or dump it. Clinic one for SEO.
Oh, so I have like a little asterisk next to this one. Yes, and. So Google and search engines are getting smarter to generic AI stuff, right? They are AI. They're getting so we need SEO. We need things we need obviously keywords that people are going to find us if they're searching for a clinical thing in our area and there are in our audience. But we also now, and this is like Google's latest updates, tell us they're looking for authentic content that's written for humans, whether or not that's written by humans. It needs to be written for humans. And so I think we need both. We need SEO, which is pretty boring stuff, but we also need the human stuff. And I think we also need to make sure we're optimizing not only for search engines, but we're optimizing for AI because that is where people are looking for sure.
So I think the pendulum has swung back, which is like, I don't know about you spending 10 grand on 50,000 words. That is clearly automated, but like, yes, this is where search engine optimization or generative search optimization as well.
Yep.
Again, depends on who you are. If you're a 1 location practice, I don't know if that's the thing I would be optimizing for, but if you're a little bit larger, maybe. Facebook ads for workshops/events. Would you run ads to go to lead to a workshop or an event? That's a micro conversion. Sound like the event or the workshop sounds like it would be a micro conversion in your point of view.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think if you are targeting correctly and appropriately, I also think you shouldn't expect major conversions from the Facebook ad because you're probably advertising it in other places. But no, I think it's good. I think it's good to run Facebook ads because you can target at certain levels and I think it's fine.
Yeah. If you sell, in my opinion, if you sell in a really great experience, I was talking to a guy in the Pacific Northwest and I'm like, what makes you great? Like, I love asking like questions that sound lazy, but I'm looking for how you answer, not just what you're answering. He's like, when people get in here, we really make them feel like, and he said something that like they're a pro athlete. He's like, I want to work with athletes. I work with like high school and college athletes. And I'm like, sounds like if you had 10, that would be a ridiculous experience. He's like, oh my God. Yeah. I go, then why don't you do a combine? He's like, what's that? I go get a volleyball team and pick out 10 volleyball specific tests you can do, like vertical leap, overhead arm strength. Like, I don't know, you're the clinician who works with volleyball players. Can you make me feel an experience? Then is it worth taking the volleyball coach to 10 local high schools out to dinner? Yes. And be like, I'll run all your players through each one of these one at a time. This 2-hour block is going to be for your 15 players. And then rank them in a spreadsheet, show them where they fell at each in each event, and then do a combined graded score, and then go here. And then when they go, well, how do I get better? I go, right here. Now, is all that effort worth it? It is, if that's who you want to, in my opinion, if that's who you want to work with. So I think Facebook ads for workshops and events, if you're actually good in person.
Right. It needs to be the full experience. Yes.
Yeah. Reels with clinicians doing exercises.
Fine. But it's fine. But I think real patients and real people doing exercises, if it's engaging, that's a real tough one.
For me, this begins to be man-made flavors ice cream again. So it's like, look, when we do exercise videos, when we put our clinician in tights and Lululemon and we show big muscles, people love watching exercise videos. I go, do they? Or is it just a 6-second video that gets lots of views but no conversions?
Exactly.
Is it a beauty pageant metric? And if it is, what are you doing? Like, why are we doing it? So, like, I don't know. I would put my effort elsewhere instead of Reels.
I think maybe showing like a patient outcome video, and then like here's like some snippets of how we got there potentially.
Yeah. 2 more. Clinic email newsletters. You're gonna have more experience and a better viewpoint than this from me. I don't really care about newsletters, but that's me. I don't care about doing them, but what are your thoughts? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze? I guess is what I'm asking, Andrea.
So I say this to every client who wants to do an email newsletter, which feel very productive. If you're going to do email, it needs to be segmented, and you need to talk about something people care about, and they need to be opted in. And that is a behavior, and that's a that's a technology issue. So you need to make sure you're capturing that they want to do it. You need to give them a reason to want to read this. And I think segmentation is like the biggest thing. I've worked with so many people who have just like sent everyone the same message, and they're like, well, why aren't our open rates good? Like, well, because you're sending me, or our click-through rates, like you're sending a 16-year-old and a 70-year-old the same content, and it's just not relevant. I think the other thing too is like setting expectations. I think it's important to have consistent communication with people, but I also think we need to understand what we're getting out of it. Like, we're probably not getting a patient out of a newsletter right now.
Well, the funny part is, like, a lot of practices, I have no problem sending someone an email from your EMR. But as to what you just said, it better be about them and not you. We've worked with organizations together who were like, we're going to send out this email. And I'm like, so can you point to the news in this newsletter? And they're like, we opened a new clinic. And I go, that's news to you.
Right.
That's not news. That's an ad.
That's an ad.
So, and we understand how newspapers used to work. It was a bunch of news with ads between.
With ads.
Newsletters for health. Right. Newsletters for health practices are typically ads with ads between them. Right.
I've found what works better in healthcare has been sending just very like targeted emails about, so if someone and this is where you have to just get sophisticated with both your strategy, but also the technology that you're using. If a 16-year-old is coming in, like they're a 16-year-old athlete, or they're a 20, whatever it is, they could be any age athlete, or they're a runner, 30-year-old, it doesn't matter what it is, like sending them information that's targeted to them that will actually help them. That's not just, we need to push this out, and so we're going to show you pictures of our team doing something silly.
Yeah. Like, to using my example with Jesse and his big ass calendar, like his newsletter probably wouldn't be like, we've added purple stickers to the package if you buy it. Like, that's not news.
Right.
Like, this is where people like Tim Ferriss or James Clear, their newsletters, Mark Manson, their newsletters take off because they're like I think is it Tim Ferriss who does like 3, 2, 1, or James Clear? It's like 3 things I'm reading, 2 things I'm thinking about, 1 thing I'm doing, or whatever. It's like, I become different even if I skim his newsletter. But practice owners or providers sending out newsletters, it's like I.
And again,
I know
yeah.
I will defend myself because I just said, James Chris says, here's 3 things I'm reading. Here's 2 things I'm doing. But it's about, here's my suggestion to you. I think it could benefit you, not just what I did. I read a book. It's like cool story, bro.
Exactly. But I think it goes back to like the productivity thing. Like it feels like we're doing something if we send our newsletter every month.
Blast it.
Blast it. And I think there's value in newsletters if you have a targeted list who is signing up for your newsletter. I don't necessarily think most, practices that I've seen, whether it's in PT or in other kind of clinical healthcare, they're not using newsletters the way newsletters are intended to be used. And then they're like, but why isn't it resulting in anything?
Well, I would change. I mean, not to like be nitty gritty or like overly critical. Stop calling it a newsletter. It's not new. Right. You're not in the news business. What business are you in? We're in the exercise business. All right. But do I need exercises do I need what you're in my inbox? No. So what are you giving me to give me a reason to spend 10 seconds, even 10 seconds of my freaking day to clicking that? Because then I got to spend brain power trying to decipher what the hell it is, why it's in there. Like, I don't think Jesse sent me one email. He never asked me to send up for an email, probably because he's like, I don't have a reason to get your email. I don't have a reason
to email you. I mean, I had a very recently healthcare company here in New England that I am a patient of send me a newsletter that was focused on diabetes. And I was just like, well, so I unsubscribed. I was like, I don't have diabetes. Like, why are you sending this to me? It's really like, it's a quick way for people to ignore you or get annoyed with you.
This is when you know someone's following a template blindly.
Exactly.
You have to send out an email. Why? Because it's Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah.
How often should you, I was always asked, how often should you post? How often should you send out an email? And I would go back to when I was in radio. How often should I turn on the microphone? When you have something to say. And if you don't, shut up and play some Pearl Jam.
Don't do it if you don't have anything to, I mean, that is like, if listeners take, viewers take nothing away, like, don't say anything if you don't have anything to say.
Because people will remember that. They'll be like, whenever the guy opens his mouth, whenever they send out an email, it's crap. And you only get so many opportunities where you can't wash that image off anymore. Oh no, I see that name. What do they even do? I don't remember. Just It's crap. Yeah. Yep. All right. That's it. That's Keep It or Dump It 2026 speed round. I will say thanks to, I think I'm going to one of their conferences. US Physical Therapy. It's a big nationwide network of clinics focused on developing clinicians and not burning them out. Leadership tracks, mentorship, career growth, and the stability to build your future in this profession of physical therapy. If you want to find a place that supports how you want to practice, that's USPH. USPH.com. That's USPH.com. What do you want your parting shot to be? Oh, wait, I got to push the button. We do have I don't know how long this is going to last because it's like I got to push buttons. Parting shot.
This is the parting shot. One last mic drop moment. No pressure. Just your legacy on the line.
All right. No pressure. Just your legacy on the line. What's your parting shot for today? Marketing doesn't work.
I think I'll just go back to what we were just talking about. Don't say, if you don't have anything meaningful to say, don't say anything.
I mean, grandma and mom's advice that, wear clean underwear, I think is a good one, but I don't know if that's in my scope, but yeah. But then this also sounds like we're contradicting when we say, make sure you're consistently frequency, intensity, time type, volume, progression, creating good paid or organic content. But that should push you back to, what could I be doing with all these email addresses?
Right.
Maybe I could be doing something, dare I say different? Dare I say different and better? What are the odds different and better? I would say that the bar is not even it's not low, it's on the floor to differentiate yourself from other providers. They're not even listening to this podcast. And I'm not saying that this podcast is the thing that's going to separate you from the next. I'm saying the mindset that this podcast might bring you would help you do that. Stop sending newsletters. Why? Because you're not in the fucking news business. You're in the, I don't know, whatever business you're in business. Send that via email, ... right? So if you have nothing good to say, shut your damn.
That's it for this one, but we're just getting warmed up. Smash follow, send it to a friend, or crank up the next episode. Want to go deeper? Hit us at ptpintcast.com or find us on YouTube and socials at ptpintcast. And legally, none of this was advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. See, Keith, we read the script. Happy now?